live stream connection issues can be incredibly frustrating. And providing it's not an issue with the internet service provider, sometimes there are some good, workable solutions that can be found on Facebook's Mevo Customer Support Group. As I look through Mevo Customer Support Group last night, as I check it every so often, 4 or 5 times a week, I'm always seeing requests for help. And the great thing about that particular customer support group is help is always offered. And it comes from the various places. Yes, there are some that offer help because they seem to be in there and just be very generous with their time. But anyone in the Mevo Customer Support Group who has figured out, so to speak, part of what's going on there seems to be willing to jump in and offer the solution that they've found. I'm going to walk through today a few of the more common recent issues that have arisen in that Mevo customer support group. So one of the things that I saw as I browsed through yesterday evening was the unable to configure stream. Now, the answer given in the Mevo customer support group was that if it's not an update to be done, and sometimes the software that's being used in the Mevo app needs to be updated and it will throw an unable to configure stream type message. If it's not an update to be done, the answer that came through was check to make sure you have a titled stream. Sometimes on some versions of the app, it doesn't make any difference if you have a title in the stream or not. But on the most recent version of the Mevo 2.x, 2.0, 2.6 app, a stream seems to be required. So if you're getting that message that says unable to configure stream, try making sure you have a title in your stream and see if that doesn't work for you. For the person that posted this in the Mevo customer support group, when that piece of advice was given, they tried it and their comment was, it worked. Unable to configure stream, make sure you've got a title in that stream. Another of the issues that I have seen recently is referring to a local network permission. Now, again, in the most recent Mevo app, maybe the most recent multicam app, I'm seeing it in a couple of different places. There is a permission requested, even though we've already given permissions to Apple, to the app, for it to have local network access. It's asking for local network permission. I saw it a couple of times on Saturday and Sunday as I was preparing and then previewing what my stream was going to be like for our church services this weekend. And so the local network permission can be given in the settings. So you go into settings, into the main part of settings where you can scroll down and find the Mevo app or the multicam app. When you tap on Mevo or multicam, it's going to show you what is allowed, what permissions already are given, and there's a green toggle button that needs to be on for local network permission. It's probably already on. Turn it off, turn it back on, and then kill the program. Swipe for my iPad or iPhone, it's swipe up from the bottom so you have the tabs and then swipe up on the tab to kill the program and then go back in and reopen the app and you'll have success. That will give Apple everything they're looking for as far as permission goes, and you'll be able to stream once again. The third of the issues that I've seen as I've looked through the Mevo customer support group recently has been about connection, a lost connection with the Mevo. And again, providing it's not an internet service provider type issue, then there are a few things to look at. Now, if your Wi-Fi is weak, let's say there's walls between you and the source of your Wi-Fi. If it's an old, or if it's a slow, or if it's a crowded router, you're going to struggle with losing connection with Mevo. Anytime you are in a crowded space and everybody is on the same network, that little router is having to shuffle all of that data in and out, up and down, upload, download type stuff, back and forth from each device to the router, and that just clogs up the works. So you need to have a dedicated router coming off of your modem, Ethernet connected to a router that nobody else uses, especially if you're in a crowded situation when you're going to be live streaming. Of course, obstructions are the other piece of that puzzle. If there are obstructions between you and where your router is, then you may struggle with losing connection. Now, there's one other piece that is a common reason to lose connection between the control device and the Mevo. I'll get to that in just a second. First, I want to show you how my church building is set up with its router configuration. So on the right-hand side of the sanctuary that we have here, you're going to notice that there is my Wi-Fi router. It is a dedicated router. The only thing happening on that router on a given Sunday is the live stream that goes out. It is connected to the modem that's in another part of a building by an Ethernet cable. The quality of service rule on that modem says it's going to feed this router 95% of our allocated, our provisioned bandwidth. From that router, I have one Mevo Start mounted just next to it, very adjacent to it, within 18 inches of it. There is another Mevo Start across the building on the other side, so that I have two side shots of the platform we have. That Mevo is approximately 30 feet from the router, but it's elevated above even folks who would stand. It's going over their heads, and there are no obstructions between this router and the second Mevo Start. The third Mevo that I use is a Mevo Plus that's mounted in the center. It hangs in the front of our auditorium about 10 feet in front of the pulpit, but that puts it only about 15 or so feet from the router. So this is an unobstructed, dedicated way to set up Wi-Fi for your stream. Of course, if you have the ability to run Ethernet, go ahead and do that. Then you don't have to worry about those obstructions. You don't have to worry about, you do still need to have it dedicated. You do still need to have it so that it's the only thing running off of that router, but you don't have to worry about the drops that Wi-Fi sometimes will offer you. Okay, so the other piece of losing connection between your control device and your Mevo sometimes can be that if there's more than one Wi-Fi signal in the room, in the building, if there's a stronger Wi-Fi signal, many times your device, your iPad, your Android tablet, your iPhone, your Android phone, will jump to a stronger signal. If there's one that's just higher in the list, when you look at network settings on any computer, whether it's Mac or PC, as you look at the networks that it has connected to, if it's higher on the list, that network will be looked for first. And so I assume things are a little bit similar in the mobile world. And so if there's a network that's higher on the list in my networks that I've connected to, my known networks, then it's going to try to jump onto that one at some point if it recognizes that it's a good strong signal as well. So if you go in and forget those networks on the time that you're streaming and you want to stay dedicated to the Wi-Fi router that you have set up for streaming, that will keep you from jumping off of the network you want to be on and onto another, which will, of course, lose connection between Mevo and the control device. I hope these three things that we've talked about today have been helpful to you. Don't forget to look at the Mevo Customer Support Group on Facebook, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already.